A person's happiness is not defined by what they have, but by how they see what they have. This timeless truth has been proven through the ages. History is filled with people who lived in poverty but walked with peace, and others who had everything but never found joy. In his book, The Power of Positive Thinking, Norman Vincent Peale wrote, "Change your thoughts and you change your world." But if that's true, why do so many people remain unhappy? Why do they feel poor even when their hands are not empty? Why do they look at life and see only what's missing? Today's story will open your heart and your eyes. It's a story that shows how one shift in perspective can turn pain into wisdom, loss into blessing, and hardship into peace. Stay to the end. Promise this story will be worth your time. Long ago, in a quiet mountain village, there lived a poor farmer named Eli. He owned a small piece of land, a few hens, an old horse, and a tired pair of hands. Every morning he rose before dawn, tending to his fields, plowing the soil, hoping that one season, just one, would bring him more than survival. But every harvest seemed smaller than the last. And every night, Eli sat outside his hut, watching the moon and whispering, "Why does life give so little to those who work so hard?" The villagers often pied him. "He's cursed with bad luck," they said. "He works endlessly, but fortune never smiles on him." Slowly, Eli began to believe them. One afternoon, a terrible thing happened. His only horse, the one that helped him plow and carry his crops, ran away into the forest. The villagers came to his hut, shaking their heads. "What bad luck, Eli. Without your horse, how will you work?" Eli looked down and said softly, "Maybe yes, maybe no." The villagers exchanged confused glances. A few days later, to everyone's surprise, the horse returned, and not alone. It had brought back 3 wild horses with it. The villagers shouted in excitement, "What great fortune, Eli! You've become rich overnight." But Eli simply said, "Maybe yes, maybe no." The next morning, his son, a strong young man full of energy, tried to tame one of the wild horses. The horse threw him to the ground, breaking his leg badly. The villagers rushed to Eli again. "What a tragedy, Eli," they cried. "Yesterday you were lucky, and today you were cursed again." Eli sighed and said quietly, "Maybe yes, maybe no." A few weeks later, a war broke out in the kingdom. Every healthy young man in the village was taken by the soldiers to fight on the battlefield. Many never returned, but Eli's son with his broken leg was spared. He stayed home injured but alive. The villagers came again. "Eli," they said, "you were truly lucky. Your son's injury saved his life." And Eli smiled gently. "Maybe yes," he said. "Maybe no." Months passed and life continued its quiet rhythm. The villagers still judged every event as good or bad, but Eli remained calm through it all. One day, a traveling monk passed through the village. He saw Eli repairing a fence and asked, "You seem at peace, old man. How do you stay so calm when life keeps changing?" Eli smiled and offered him water. "Because I learned something simple. When I lost my horse, I thought it was the worst day of my life. When I found 3 horses, I thought it was the best. But both were wrong because I didn't know what would come next. Now I don't rush to judge, I just live and I let life unfold." The monk nodded slowly and said, "You have understood the essence of wisdom. Suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from how we interpret what happens." From that day onward, Eli lived with quiet gratitude. When his crops failed, he whispered, "Maybe it's time the soil rests." When they flourished, he smiled, "Maybe I've been blessed with another lesson." He began to notice beauty in the smallest things, the sound of rain, the song of birds, the laughter of children running through the fields. He no longer waited for big happiness to feel content. He realized peace had always been around him, hidden beneath his complaints, waiting for his eyes to change. Years passed. Eli grew old. His hair turned white like the mountain snow, and his hands grew rough as the bark of trees. One evening he sat outside his home watching the sunset paint the sky with gold. A young traveler approached and said, "Old man, I've heard stories about you that no matter what happens, you never complain. How did you learn that?" Eli smiled, eyes soft with memory. He said, "When I was younger, I thought happiness would come when life was perfect. When I had more land, more food, more luck, but perfection never came, and I grew tired of waiting." He looked at the fading light and continued, "One day, I realized that life isn't about controlling the winds. It's about adjusting your sails. You can't stop the rain, but you can learn to dance in it. You can't avoid pain, but you can decide what meaning to give it." The traveler listened quietly, his heart heavy with realization. Eli took a deep breath and said, "My friend, when I stopped asking why me and started asking, what is this teaching me, my whole life changed." That night, as the stars appeared one by one, Eli felt a peace deeper than ever before. He didn't have riches, but he had understanding. He didn't have comfort, but he had clarity, and that he thought was wealth enough. And that was the secret of the old farmer. He didn't change his world, he changed the way he saw it. He learned that even when life seems unfair, every moment carries a message. Every loss hides a lesson. Every ending whispers a beginning. Life is not what happens to you. It's how you choose to see it. If you always look for what's wrong, you'll live in disappointment. But if you look for what's right, you'll find peace even in chaos. So don't rush to call something bad. Maybe it's life redirecting you. Don't curse the rain. It might be watering your future harvest. Don't fear change. It might be leading you somewhere beautiful. If you liked this story, give it a thumbs up. Comment below on what you learned and share it with someone who might need this message today. See you in the next story.